right. We should be good to go.
Very good. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. You can tell who most of the retired people are on the commission, I think. Some people we know are still working today, and that's the way life goes. Robin, could we have a roll call?
Yes, Madam Chair. Member Hensick. Acting Chair Stevens.
Present.
Secretary Scott.
Present.
Member Hammond. Member Roughton.
Present.
Member Bockert. Member Rubis.
Present.
Alternate Adams. Alternate Quarternick. Commission Liaison Broyles. Council Liaison Nyan. And Council Liaison Jaxie. All right, we have quorum.
Thank you. There's no new business that's ready for action at this special meeting, but we'll go on to the old business. It does have two items for action. The first one being the points of interest map. I know that there were some questions about some of the things on the points of interest map. Robin or Joe, do you want to address those first?
Madam Chair, I'm going to let Ms. Keefe address those few items. And then I'd like to have a minute just to kind of give an overview.
Okay, great. Robin?
All right. So as you know, your assignment over this past week was to look at the scenic road descriptions and also the 2019 point of interest map that was included in your packet last week. This is the map that we are working off to update to this year. And so we have not yet identified some of the new road segments on the map. Actually, I'll just go ahead and pull it up so we have a visual. Here we go. So I know there was some concern that the current section that we're working on, which is this northeastern section, is not highlighted like this section. But this is just the 2019 map. So we will be doing the same thing over here. And we will also be updating these segments to label Shepherd Road and Old Etherton and make sure that all segments are accounted for in terms of our illustration here. So I definitely wanted to clarify those points. I think some of the other comments that came up were more of a discussion, of points of discussion. So I'll probably leave my presentation here and suggest that we just open up to discussion, maybe start with the illustration that we're going to update this year. And then we can move on to the cycle marker discussion and then wrap up with the edits to the scenic road descriptions. If that has your sign off, Madam Chair.
I think that's a good plan.
All right. So does anybody have any comments regarding the visual depiction of our map?
I was muted. I was trying to talk and it wasn't coming through. Yeah, obviously you will highlight the section of Etherton from Wild Horse Creek down to 109. But there are two sections of Etherton that are parallel to 109, just to the east, on the east side, between where Etherton comes in and I guess Clayton Road. And I wonder, that might be hard to show on here, but I think those are nice sections. I mean, there's a narrow road in there, and I think it'd be good to have those highlighted. because those are what Etherton used to look like. That and got to get a name on Shepherd Road. And
Any
that's
more
all I-
comments, questions?
Well, and also I think this piece of, are you going to highlight the piece of Etherton that runs between Manchester and 100? That's a piece of old Etherton there too. Not continuous, but it's there. A little crowded on the map though.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Mr. Scott, we had typically just identified those byways that were in conjunction with the historic communities and tied to the markers we've installed. Certainly Etherton Road is probably a road that has many different segments through Wildwood. You've mentioned a couple. There are a couple of others that come to mind to me. I guess, again, we kind of started out just focusing on the scenic byways near our historic community markers and kind of working from there. If we do, as the commission, agree to include those segments that are, let's say, further to the south, I'd sure like you, Mr. Scott, to maybe identify them on the map so I get them accurately depicted when we do send it to the graphic artist.
Well, it's kind of hard to show on this map. I could pull up and probably email you something from, say, Google Earth that would show those sections.
Well, knowing that you're identifying two segments, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that assistance. I assume the one segment is over by St. Alban Road Church, and then the other segment is over by St. Paul Lutheran Church. Those are the two I think you're describing, but I just want to be sure.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
That one, yeah, goes north from the Lutheran Church and then comes into 109, just a little bit east of the Etherton Road junction at 109, or a little bit south of the Etherton Road junction. That section, and then the other one, it comes in by St. Albans there. So, well, then there's a little one. It goes straight and hits Babler Park Drive. There's a little section there that's
Right.
old Etherton.
Right. Yeah, the new Hindu temple is building next to that. So we can identify those three sections if those are the three sections the commission would like to include.
Yeah. Well, especially the one to the north, the one that starts at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, is really picturesque.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's pretty much one-way traffic. It makes Hankin Road look wide.
I think I even referred to the one-lane bridge in my description.
Yes, yes, I did. I think that's what you were talking about when I read that. Yes. So that's all I've got, and I do think we should indicate where those bicycle markers are. And that's the next discussion.
Dan, you
That's all I
wanted
have.
something?
Yeah, quick question. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but at what point does this map become too crowded and hard to read versus considering a bifold or a quadfold map that could either enlarge the size of the map or potentially have 2 or 4 separate maps? Just a point of discussion.
Joe or Robin?
If everybody's fine with the way it is, I'm fine, but another way to make it a little more visible.
That was my worry, is especially those sections of Etherton Road I wanted added would be, it might be difficult to show on a map of this scale. But I do think there's a lot of interesting things that I think should be pointed out on that map, and at least I find interesting, and I think some other people would find interesting to learn about these things about the.
Am I not correct in that the final map will be a fold-out map like the other ones have been? It won't be this little 8.5 by 11 sheet map.
That's correct. This is for illustration purposes only.
So
Okay.
that will spread things out a bit. There. Yes,
Madam
Joe?
Chair,
Yes.
I know Mr. Rubus has his hand up, so I'm going to wait, but I do have a response to Mr. Routen's question.
Okay. Jim, you had your hand up?
Yeah, okay, I see that on this map, maybe it's because of the scale, but where Arville Road and 109, it doesn't show that Old Etherton actually intersects with 109, or maybe it's hidden by the 109
I
badge.
think it's hidden by the 109. I just zoomed in on the one I've got on my screen. It's under there,
Okay,
but it's not clear that it goes through.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
if Mr. Rubus is finished, Mr. Routen, I think we're getting pretty close to having too much on the map. And what I would suggest is, given our time frame this year, which is very, very tight, that we look at maybe a redesign in 2022 and potentially consider some other alternatives. We could do quadrants of the city, with the center point being Route 100, Route 109 intersection. There's a lot of ways to look at it, and we'll depend on the commission to give us that direction.
And that would be in the future, correct?
I'm saying 2022,
Yes.
when we kind of get through this. Actually only 17, no, excuse me, we're only about, 3 weeks away from the event. So
Yes.
it's a little, it'd be impossible, I think, to fix it now. But like I say, it is, as Mr. Scott identified, that area of town center, there's so much stuff there right now. It's kind of all jumbled looking. So I think we can do some better things with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think in the future, 2 maps. One would be points of interest, and one would be just dedicated to the scenic byways in Wildwood, that you could just show them all, highlight them all in some way so people can identify them. And then the points of interest can be another map like this one. But I think we're trying to get too much stuff on one 11 by 17 piece of paper.
Got 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack.
I think we have another item that needs discussion on this points of interest map is the bicycle markers. There are 2 of them. I'm very familiar with one. The second one I have not been able to find. Well, I haven't looked for it, but I have not seen it in my travels around. So that's kind of a little point to find it and see where all it is. But I do think they are important. Is there any other comments on the bicycle markers?
The ones by the Old Pond Hotel, is that correct? I haven't seen it, but
Oh, yes, that's very
that's
easy
the
to
one.
see.
I don't know where the other one is.
Mr. Ottenberg, would you like to describe where it is?
Yeah, so can everybody hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
All right, super. So you have to go west on 100 and then turn right at the Fox Valley Veterinary Clinic. And then you are on, and I get the 2 roads mixed up, so I apologize. I believe it's on Old Manchester. And you end up, once you've turned right, traveling about 1.5 miles, there is a small road on the right-hand side called Rem. And you go several hundred feet past that, and it is on the left-hand side of the road, off on a bank, back in some trees. And it is, to your point, very difficult to see if you're driving past it at any type of even a moderate speed. You almost have to go past it about 5 miles an hour and look very closely, and you'll see it up in some trees. And that's the one that I think is dated. One's dated 1921 and the other one's dated 1923. And even when I ride out there on my bike, coming down the road, I've got to stop, get off the bike, and take a close look to see it up in the trees. But it's about the same size as the one that's down close to the Big Chief Grill, and about the same type of writing on it. And like I said, it's dated within about 2 years of the one that's down by the Big Chief Grill.
Is that still in Wildwood? I know that we're getting awfully close to the county line there. Because I know there's an old church there, which is not in Wildwood. And I can't quite picture where this would be. I know Bouquet Road is in Wildwood, but that's.
No, to your point, it is, it's close to the line, but to my knowledge, it is still within the city of Wildwood.
Good. Okay, good.
Dan?
Joe, is there a potential to move that monument closer to the roadside?
I don't know about the one on Old Manchester Road. It was news to me that there was a second bicycle marker. The one at the Old Pond Hotel site, which is near Pond Road and Manchester Road, we had actually talked to the owner of that property, Scott Keller, about relocating that marker down to Old Pond School. And he didn't, he was appreciative of the offer, but didn't want to have it removed. I think Mr. Keller still has hopes of developing that property with some type of commercial use. And I think it's going to be orientated toward the history of Route 66. And that marker obviously is part of that history. But we did try, Mr. Routen, and were unsuccessful. Certainly now that we know there's another on Old Manchester Road, we can certainly try to reach out to the property owner and see if there's something we can do to help make it more visible and do it justice given its significance.
Sounds like a plan.
So, and the question is about putting it on the points of interest map. Is this something that can be done?
Well, I certainly like to think we could. I'm a little embarrassed we don't have the one on at the Old Pond Hotel site already on it. But again, the direction must come from the commission. We'll do our best if you all agree to have it included. And Mr. Ottenberg has done an excellent job of providing some background on it. So I guess what we would try to do while the graphic designer is working on the changes to the map, provide a brief description that's suitable for the points of interest map, get it out to the commission members and Mr. Ottenberg, make sure it reads as you all would like. And it might be the last thing we add.
Yes, I think if you flip the Fox Creek historic community marker to the other side of 100, there'd be room there for that, to locate that monument.
It may be worthwhile double checking the location of the second marker that's way out there on Old Manchester, because I know it is very close to the town line, and it would be worthwhile to double check its exact location before we would go ahead and include it on the map.
Yeah.
I don't want to include something on the map that really isn't within the city boundaries of Wildwood.
You know, we could show it just over the line. I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it too, but I realize we have to pursue things in a certain way. So it'd probably be good to double check its location to see, where it's at in relationship to the line. But I appreciate everyone considering this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your information. Joe, is this something we would vote on tonight, or is it something that you want to send out to us once you have the descriptions written?
Well, I make a plea to the commission members that, given your title, Historic Preservation Commission, I think adding the marker that may just be over the line, if it is still sound and appropriate.
I do too.
So I would ask for a motion to authorize Ms. Keefe and I to add the 2 bicycle markers and information regarding them to the points of interest map.
Is there someone to make a motion? Dan?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please wave since we're on Zoom and we can see better than hear. Is there anyone opposed? Looks like it has passed, approved. So a little more work for you to do. Sorry about that. Your plates are getting rather full, but it's great that this has been brought to our attention because we are preservation. And, you know, it's important to have the things that, you know, as I say, none of us knew that second one existed. And so this is part of us. We've got to get our history all documented. So thank you all very much.
Well, if I were to take you all out there and we stopped the car, it would take me a minute or two probably to find it on the bank, but I can guarantee you it is there.
Well, thank you very much.
Which side of the road is it on, the north or the south?
Let's see. Once you turn, if you're heading west on 100 and you turn right at that Fox Valley Veterinary Clinic, and then you proceed about 1.5 miles, it'll be on the left-hand side. So I guess that would be, what would that be considered? The west side of the road, or maybe the southwest side of the road?
Okay, but left side going westbound. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Look for it.
We have one other item of business to take care of at this special meeting, and that's the history. Or do we need to do something about the document, the write-ups of the roads?
Madam Chair, sorry, Ms. Keefe, if
Okay.
With the comments from the commission members and the comments being now made part of the descriptions, if there are no other changes and the recommended changes as presented to this afternoon are acceptable, we'd like a motion to proceed forward.
With the map.
Move, we print it.
Mr. Scott has made the motion and Dan has seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, let's wave at each other. Anyone opposed? Okay, you've got the go ahead there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to the history book. And we had several grammatical corrections made to what was presented to us. That we could see as we were reading through it. Did anyone else have any corrections or questions on that document? It was very interesting. I really enjoyed reading it. It brought back a lot of memories from when we became a city that had just kind of flown out of my mind. But I know that people who weren't around then are going to be very appreciative to know how we all came about.
Madam Chair, could I just give maybe a brief explanation?
Yes.
I really look at this particular chapter as being 2 parts. I'll describe the first part. I'll start with the first part, so to speak. There was a group of obviously individuals, residents of unincorporated St. Louis County that formed the core of the incorporation committee. In this particular instance, 4 of them actually are ones that helped co-create the chapter. Marianne Simmons, Dan Vogel, who was our first city attorney, Ron Marcantano, our first elected mayor, and then Sue Cullinane, who was on our city council on 2 occasions, and was also city administrator for a period of time. They prioritized the year-by-year narrative, and I'll be the first to admit I was reluctant to kind of edit a lot of that because I thought the first person approach kind of added a little bit of context and still showed the compassion of some of the incorporators, even now, 26 years later. The second part is the part that was prepared by the department, specifically me. And when Robin reviewed it, she had some comments relating to my perspective relative to St. Louis County and the treatment of the area. And I did not mean it to be harsh, but I did have the advantage of being at St. Louis County during that time. I was employed there for almost 11 years. And I saw it from the inside out, as well as then heard the conversations and participated in many of the conversations relating to the incorporation. So to the commission members, I did not mean the description of the county's planning efforts, the politics that got involved, and basically what I would consider a very deaf ear toward residents and their concerns out here, as to make a harsh chapter out of it. But I think when people ask, why is there a Wildwood? I think they need to know that participatory government is not the, let's say, lobbyist and county council members basically making decisions. It's the residents and everyone else making those decisions. And so that's kind of the approach I took with it. And so if there are some harsh statements in there, they need to be removed. I don't want that to be the kind of the description of it. But I would stand by each and every word relative to what I saw and what I participated in. Thank you.
Jim?
Joe, as I read that, I thought it was a fair and balanced treatment. And I don't, if there's any criticism, it's light. I don't find anything offensive with that. It's, in actuality, you know, it conveys that there were two reasons why we're a city. The treatment or lack of consideration from St. Louis County and Highway 109 being converted to an outer belt. And I think those are covered extremely well, and I don't see anything harsh in there. It's
Thank you.
fact.
Well, Jim, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's my feelings as well. I did not look upon it as being harsh. I looked at it as being factual. And that's what we're wanting. Dan?
Agree.
Thank you.
Sure,
Alan?
absolutely correct. I emailed my own commentary earlier. You saw that. I felt it was wonderful.
No, I agree. And I think it's important that these people are your opinions and their opinions are important, that they get in there, because we were here when it was farmed. I went to a couple meetings and then sort of dropped out and watched things on the side, and I didn't do anything to try to incorporate Wildwood. It was these people that did it and did all the hard work, and I'm glad to see them be able to say what they had to say about it.
Agreed.
And, we're showing both sides of it. And that's what's important. That's what needs to be out there.
I think I need to further elaborate on maybe some of my comments. I just approached it from a very objective, like outsider looking in perspective when I was going through it. And I certainly did not mean to indicate that it was, brutally harsh towards anybody. I was just, as an editor, I was like, well, this is very strong language. But that said, as you all said, certainly there's a truth to it. And I just, I was just putting it out there that it read strong to me, but that wasn't meant to be a criticism necessarily. I just wanted everyone to hear it.
And to Ms. Keefe, it wasn't taken as a criticism. I just took it as, if someone reading it has has that basically believes it's fairly strong language, then I wanted to explain it to the commission members. And certainly there's no pride of authorship here, because when this is all said and done, it comes out under the Historic Preservation Commission. And I don't want you to have to basically kind of bow your head because there's something in there that you don't agree with, or you feel like, wow, that's not right. So that's why I bring it up only. And, like I say, the best writing is the writing of the commission, not an individual per se.
Well, I think from the comments that have been made here, Joe, none of us are taking it as something negative, and are proud. And I know I personally hold my head high for what you have said.
Absolutely.
We will defend you for the next 5-10 minutes.
Mr. Scott, that's more than my wife does most days. So thank
Good to
you.
have someone on your side, isn't it, Joe? Jim?
I think those people that were against it would prefer not to have had it happen. I don't think you're going to find many of those today living in Wildwood. I think that we've made believers out of it, that this experiment did work and we're much better for it. So I don't think there's anybody that's going to really, the only person that might take issue is Sam Pate, but we don't care.
He wasn't part of it back then anyway.
No, it'd be Gene McNary.
We need to make a motion to accept this, to have it printed.
Yeah, make
Jim-
that motion.
Jim makes a motion. A second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Wave hello, folks.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is approved, and you may include it in, and we look forward to our final edition once we get everything together. Jim?
In relation to Joe had sent out some information, historical information about the book and how it was going to be composed and all that. I think the final decision was that it was going to be a hardbound book.
Yes.
I was just wondering, how much money would you save if you made it like a paperback book as opposed to a spiral bound book? The Historical Commission or Society prints books, and they're all paperback books. I don't know whether our book would be too thick to make it, but I buy a lot of paperback books that are either both hardbound and paperback, and I choose to buy the paperback simply because of weight.
Mr. Rubis, with the chair's permission, when we re-engaged with the company that the commission had selected, because they were willing to do the edits, they didn't ask us to basically slim the document down. They met all of the criteria. They checked all the boxes that the commission believed was important for the book. I'm going to ask them to give us a range of prices, the hardback, the paperback, and then the ebook as well. And so that when we sit back down, we'll have all the information, and then you all can make the decision what's most appropriate given what we want to achieve.
Sounds good. And as we know, this is to be finalized on down the road, and can maybe be here for Celebrate Wildwood in 2022.
Well, Ms. Stevens, if it's that long from now, we have failed the commission. I want Robin and I to make it a priority and do it as reasonably quickly as we can. I'm disappointed in just the circumstances that led us not to be prepared for this, in 3 weeks. but COVID-19 and short staffing here kind of led to it. And then I just have one last comment to make. With your motion just a few minutes ago, you have now completed a 5-year process. So congratulations. You all invested a lot of time and work reviewing chapters, providing comments, doing research, helping Ms. Von Gruben and the department. And so it was kind of just almost passed over, but that's 5 years. Thank you.
Well, we thank you, because without all of your work and help, it wouldn't have been completed by us. So maybe everyone needs to pat themselves on the back, including the two of you.
Well, that's fair if we all do it together, but there's not one. How about this? There's not one author of a successful book. There's many.
That's right.
Success has many fathers, failure is but an orphan.
I would, it'd be good to get this out in time, so next year at Celebrate Wildwood, we can hear some comments on people who have read this last chapter.
No, I know it sounds silly, but it'd be kind of nice to have it for the holidays. So people, if they wanted
It would
to
be.
give it as a gift, it'd be available.
Good
So
idea.
Do we have anything else to come before us at this special meeting? I know those were the 2 items that were listed for action. Robin.
Yes, what?
Oh, I thought your yellow box showed up. So
Oh, no.
Alan,
No, I can move, we adjourn.
I second it.
it's been moved and seconded that we adjourned. I'd like to make a couple of announcements before then. Remember, there is no commission meeting for the month of September. So our next commission meeting will be October, close to Halloween, but not quite Halloween. So we'll be seeing everyone at Celebrate Wildwood, and there will be information coming out for us to sign up for work times. So everyone can be glad that maybe it won't be as hot as it has been in the past.
counting on that. And to end the meeting with a little good news, as of today from our city administrator, our October meeting will be in person.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic.
So
So you
I
people
don't think there'll
are-
be anyone complaining.
So you people aren't just this little tiny. You're full-size people.
for Scott, that's the best I've looked in 10 years.
Wait,
Okay.
the program starts now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone for coming tonight. It's really great that you could join in at an unusual time, and we know that everyone has things to do, but thank you all for everything you do for us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you later.
Nice Labor Day weekend.
Same
You
to
too.
See you at the
Get some rest.